Okay, we are at the Heinz Convention Center, the Boston Antiquarian Book Fair, November 17th, 2018, continuing a more than decade-long series of bookseller interviews. Now we have Sunday Steinkirchner from B&B Rare Books in Manhattan with us today. Hi, Sunday.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? I'm really well. How's the fair been for you so far?
It's been good. It's been
Yeah.
good. There's a lot of things percolating. So we've met a lot of new people, which is nice,
That's good.
and some old faces who are thinking on some things. So it's been good so far.
This is what we want to hear. Let's dial it back to pre-November 17th, 2018. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you were raised, born,
Sure.
family.
Yeah. So I grew up in upstate New York, south of Buffalo, and I came to New York City after college. And my husband at the time, Josh Mann, we both came. Should we do? I don't know what to do.
It's okay. It's okay. We've got babies at the fair today, so.
Okay. Yeah, so we moved to New York and we started selling just sort of lots of things out of our apartment, and books were one of them. It was rather random. We found first edition of Alice in Wonderland on the street for $1, and I didn't know anything about books or rare books, or that there was a market for it. Josh sort of knew. His father was a collector, but never really shared the interest with him. So we just looked at it, and I just had like a light bulb that went off in my head, and I said, this is worth more than $1. I don't know what it's worth. And this is in 2003, so this was back when eBay was kind of a big booming thing. You cannot replicate this business story at all in this time and age. But yeah, so we met a lot of people on eBay. We started buying and selling things that were just interesting to us. We both loved literature, so that's what we started kind of buying and selling. We met some collectors who, lived in places that didn't have book fairs. They were looking to meet people online. We were online. And we just thought it would be a side hustle. Even if that, we weren't sure what it was going to become. We didn't think it would become anything. And we just kept doing it steadily for a long time. We had other jobs. And then we kept funneling the money back into the business and buying and selling more customers, and decided at one point, let's give this a shot. So we did about 10 years ago and haven't been back.
Okay, that's fine. Good thing.
Yeah.
And we're thankful for that. So 10 years ago was the kind of what you feel like you really went for it and dove in.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Josh, that's Josh Mann.
Yes,
Your partner in life and your partner in business. So that's an interesting, angle. We have some partner businesses like that, and I'm sure you couldn't see it any other way, but I always see huge advantages potentially for having a second mind, a second set of eyes, a second base of knowledge. What do you feel? How do you feel like it changed your entrance or the way you do things now?
Well, I mean, neither of us knew anything about books. We both came into this with zero knowledge. We're both self-taught, so we were both just on an even playing field, and we had different jobs. He was doing cancer research and I was a social worker, and we just kind of were doing this on the side for fun. We didn't really know anything about it. It kind of was very organic the way it started, because we didn't go to school for it. We didn't know that Rare Book School was a thing. We didn't know that CABS was a thing. So in terms of being self-taught, we're actually very thankful, because I think we learned a lot that way. We just kind of got beat up and spit out and tossed around at some book fairs, and it was a good experience, to be honest.
Knocked down 7 times, get up 8.
Absolutely.
We
did.
You really did.
We
do
did.
it.
When we became ABA members, that was a big deal, because there weren't many young people in at the time. And I don't know, I felt like the culture started to change at that time. It was 2009 when we became members. We had just, we quit our jobs in 2007. We moved to France for a while, came back to the States, decided to be more professional, apply for ABA membership. We got in 2009, and that's when things really seemed to take off and get serious. And I feel like a lot of book collectors and booksellers started really embracing younger people in the trade, so I felt a big change then.
You were, I think, part of that shift, creing, experiencing, and and then
that's nice to hear.
leading the crest of it. I really do think so. So I want to ask, what, as you kind of evolved into this, because it does sound like you just got caught up in a wave, but what was part of the attraction of the business or the materials themselves that kept you realizing this was what you wanted to do as your empire build?
Absolutely. The material was just so fun for us. We focused. Everyone's like, well, if you were both sort of in science fields, psychology, science, why didn't you sell books like that? We just loved literature. We both had a passion for it. It was similar for the two of us, and I don't know, just something about it was really exciting for us. So the material was very exciting. It was very accessible. We were meeting people. We were obviously meeting people, and customers were looking for things, and they would kind of start off on tangents, and then we would start learning more about different authors that we didn't really actually know about. So that was, obviously, the material was just really fun and attractive to us. It just was, it's fun. We both loved reading. And then lifestyle. Yeah. I mean, hands down. Yes. Running your own business. Yes. It's just so great. We're both very involved in our families, and it gives us time to do whatever it is we need to do. We were working from home for probably, I think, 9 years before we opened our gallery. So the
I'd love to revisit that. Let's
absolutely,
talk about that
yeah.
gallery when you're done.
So the flexibility, I think, is number one in terms of owning a business. It's tough. There are some really lean months, and sometimes you don't really know what's going to happen. But all in all, I think hands down, I couldn't do anything else at this point.
Quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of, and yes, you're involved with your families, but you're also really, really involved with your book family, if I don't say so
Oh my
myself.
gosh, yes, yes.
This ABAA and the greater collectors and buyers at large, you're very involved. You've spearheaded a lot of initiatives,
oh gosh, yeah.
and you give back. And how does that speak to that a little bit?
That's actually, that really touches my heart, to be honest, because when I was telling you, when we first started in the trade, it was really difficult to kind of talk to people who had been in it. People, kind of thought we were a flash in the pan, like, what are you guys doing here? You don't know anything about books, which was true. We didn't know anything. So it was, I guess, I understood them being a little skeptical of us. But we went to a book fair, and we met Dave and Denise Carlson from D&D Galleries. And they've been huge mentors of ours. Dave was my sponsor for their ABA membership. And I remember when Denise said, when I come to a book fair, it's like coming home. And I almost started crying because that wasn't my experience at book fairs. People really didn't ask us out to dinner. We weren't, we were kind of on the outside, and it was fine. It took a while before we got to know people. But I'm like, gee, that would be like a wonderful thing to have, that if I come to a book fair, it feels like coming home. And I'm actually, honest to say, that's really what it feels like now. And it's been like this for quite a long time.
Absolutely.
So it's a lovely family to be a part of.
It really is, isn't it? It's an incredible tapestry of humans. And got some announcements, but I think they can hear us right over
It's
them.
better than the baby.
Exactly. Although I think I know which adorable baby that was.
I think I do too.
Yeah, a particular wonderful Russian book dealer. So we'll forgive her.
I'm going to steal her. Don't tell anyone. Oh, I guess it's on camera. I'm stealing.
The baby stealer.
I'm stealing the Russian baby.
But speaking of family, we really have come to really love and respect and learn from each other in an incredible way. It's an incredible group. And so you mentioned D&D. Any other booksellers or book collectors, the greats, the myths, the legends that have influenced you guys as you move forward?
Oh gosh,
and
yeah.
Have,
For sure. Since we were self-taught and we literally started with $1 and one book, we couldn't even afford references when we started. So we went to the New York Public Library, and we just started signing up for dealers' catalogs, and thank God they sent them to us for free.
Yes.
So we were dealing mostly in literature, so we started looking at the modern first dealers, Ken Lopez, Peter Stern, between the covers, Tom Congleton. So those were kind of our three main people that we learned from, learned how to price books, learned how to describe them. And those were, basically, that was like our first shot of learning how to do anything, was by kind of looking at their catalogs, seeing how it's done.
An incredible tool.
Yeah.
Incredible tool.
For sure.
And that's something I always tell up-and-comers to start with, is
Yes.
read and absorb the
Yes.
visual and bibliographic content that the greats are putting out, because that's the goal.
Yep, keep all the catalogs.
But then let's talk about voice within those catalogs, because
Yeah.
you've made a really distinctive brand. We talked about branding. It's a recognizable brand. It's it's savvy. It's cosmopolitan. But the voice that you have within a given niche, how do you see that evolving for you? And what's your advice to new dealers, or to actually to established dealers when they're carving that voice out in the midst of this bandwidth, how relevant do you think that is to recognize,
It's a really good question. I think it's a really good time to examine that and think about that. And I'm so glad that we've got more people entering the trade, more young people, more women. I think we really need more people of color, and I don't know how to address that. I'm thinking about it a lot. I don't know what we can do. But in terms of like diversity, I think everyone's a lot more open-minded now about what a bookseller looks like. A bookseller typically does not look like this, generally in the room.
I
mean, there are still people who come into my booth and say, you know, where is the person that owns the books, you know? But in general, booksellers kind of look like anyone nowadays, and which is really good. We've got more diversity. So I guess my advice would be to just be yourself and just stick with it, you know? I would say talk to everyone in the room, just meet people, know people. People just want to connect with you and learn what you're about. And once they know what you're about, you know, they can recommend you to other people. And I just think the networking and the collegiality of our business is really...
It's major.
It's amazing, yeah. It's not cutthroat the way other like antiques markets are, and I mean, it's just wonderful. It's, you know, you can really call people if you have a question about something. And I think that's really important. But I guess just to be yourself and to kind of explain who you are to people, like
because we
express
need every
yourself.
voice. We need every voice. We need every character. Every, you know, there's a saying that yes, somebody may have already done it, but you didn't do it, or they didn't do it like you.
No one will do it like you.
No one's approached modern verse or science, you know, or herbals like A, B, or C has done, and we need everybody in the canon.
We do,
so we're at a fair, so it's really, we're kind of all hopped up and like high in love on everybody, because that's what happens at these book fairs. So would you recommend somebody who's in the middle of the, let's say the middle of the heartland, I know I recommend put that plane ticket on your charge card and go, pick a fair and go, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a great first step for anyone.
Oh
who wants
yeah,
to
if you can afford it, go to a book fair.
Go to a book fair.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, again, like online, there's so many resources nowadays to find not only books, but like, you know, ways to learn about the trade. I think that's a really good place to start. Yeah, there's so many tools now, and I'm glad that there's more and more. I'm glad we can be more inclusive.
Do you, speaking of tools, I want to talk about the gallery. Haven't forgotten. I'd like to end on the gallery. What tools do you guys embrace as a business that somebody who entered the trade, let's say 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, might not be aware of? What do you have a website? Is a basic question, but do you sell on Etsy? Do you use Instagram? Do you use alternative things to show the visual medium?
My advice is do everything all the time.
Yes.
I gave the keynote address at the York Antiquarian Book Seminar last year.
Congratulations.
Thank
They
you.
were lucky to have
and
you.
just the fact that, you know, the point is that my kind of message was, well, one, we take everybody. There's no prerequisite to become a bookseller. Anyone can become a bookseller. Be yourself. But then also do everything all the time.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going to work, you know? Sometimes our sales are a lot stronger on the internet. Sometimes it's really just about the fairs and meeting people. That's usually how it is. But occasionally, when some things dry up, other things will pop up.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really good to be diverse and to have a lot of different ways to sell your things, to meet people. So in terms of selling things, I mean, we go to book fairs. We have now a gallery that we've had for 6 years, so like a brick and mortar. We do a lot of things online, whether people find us online or find us online and then come to the shop. That's something that people do. We did mail catalogs for a long time. We do e-lists now. We actually just started our Instagram account. I'm really big on Instagram. I love Instagram.
Yeah, I thought you had one forever
yes,
for the business.
I hate Facebook. I only check it a couple times a month, but Instagram I like because it's visual. So I have my own personal Instagram.
And what's that Instagram handle?
It's Sunday Rare Books.
Okay.
And I've been getting feedback that, gee, you know, people love books and sometimes they're not into the Burning Man photos.
Yeah.
So we finally actually just started a B&B Rare Books one, actually, like just this weekend. So we've got a B&B Rare Book. So I'm still going to post books on mine. But the B&B Rare Books one will not have rock concerts from Josh and Burning Man photos for me.
So everybody has to follow three threads.
Yes, but anyway. But yeah, so in terms of like, have I ever sold a book on Instagram? I think one time I posted a letter that we had just gotten in and cataloged, and I think Lauren Bear ordered it.
I tell people I have sold across the pond internationally to a significant dealer because of an Instagram post. So just do it. It's a little square. It can't hurt anybody. Hashtag it out.
Exactly.
But these new ways that sometimes seem really foreign to a larger body of established dealers.
Sure.
These are their tools, their opportunities.
Yeah.
They counter some of the things that some people talk about as being the great lament of the golden age.
Absolutely.
There are some disappointing things about the way we're doing things these days, or what we can't do now. Transparency is so, it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's harder to kind of find a secret. Would you recommend, I think I know the answer, but would you recommend a dealer who's 22, lit major, excited about, these objects, would you recommend they start in the trade today?
Yeah.
Would they? Should they? And could they?
Absolutely, I definitely think so. So I get what you're saying. I mean, I think in a lot of ways we are the destroyer, in terms of the people when we first started going to book fairs saying the internet is destroying the book business. We were the destroyer. But I think, there's some things that just need to be embraced. And, we were children of the internet. We kind of knew how to use it. That's how we started on eBay, as I was explaining. And again, there are some things that I don't even know how to use, like Snapchat. I was like, geez, what are people doing on Snapchat nowadays? And so even for me, there are things that I'm kind of like, a little resistant to use at first, and then it's like, you know what? I can't stop it. I can't stop the train. I might as well get on it.
Exactly.
So I think, again, it's very time consuming and it's exhausting. But if you want to make this your life, then it's a good life to have. I do love it. Do everything all the time. Just try everything. And even if you don't like it, fine. If you don't like Instagram, give it up. But if you find something and something works for you, I think that's the only way you can really know.
Exactly. And I think it's that attitude and not necessarily a bullet point list that is what is going to get everybody through the challenges that face the antiquarian trade in the next 10 or 20, 30 years.
Yeah, definitely.
We
have to be flexible.
We have to be flexible business people and embrace, the technologies. The book is a technology.
Yes.
And so we're using all the technologies to promote these ancient technologies.
Exactly.
And that's really key. Dissemination of ideas and information and the democratization of all of that for us.
And technology is going to keep on coming. So again, we just got to keep getting on the train.
Yes.
We got to keep arriving.
Get on the train, says the New Yorker.
Just keep chugging along.
Speaking of the train,
Yes.
What train would I take if I wanted to make my way to the gallery? And when is it open? And what do you use the space as? Is it by appointment? Is it open all day?
Good question. You can take the 4, 5, or 6 train. You can take the NQRW to 23rd Street or to 14th Street. So basically, we're downtown in Manhattan near Union Square.
Wow.
So it's a nice, kind of central location. We're on 20th Street between Park and Broadway, where you're sandwiched right in between the Teddy Roosevelt birthplace and Gramercy Tavern.
Wow.
It was a great block, but we were looking at places. I didn't want to see anything unless it was really fabulous, and that was the first one I looked at, and I was like, this is it.
This is it. Wow.
Yeah, so anyway, so it's a 3rd floor office and gallery. We call it a gallery because it's got glass on 3 sides, so it's very bright and airy, and I just looked at it and I said, this is it. So it was 6 years ago, and so there's 3 of us. It's me, Josh, and Patricia, who is our new cataloger. She's been with us for just over a year now, and she's wonderful. So the 3 of us are there. So we're technically open 12 to 7 Monday to Friday, and then on weekends we're by appointment. But basically, anytime by appointment. Anytime someone wants to buy a book, I will come by, and if I'm in the city, I will come by the shop.
How has it changed your relationship with buyers and maybe with the material to have a space that exists to?
It really helped. I mean, and to be honest, even though I looked at the space and I loved it immediately, it took me. So we've had it 6 years now. It took me 2 years to really get on the train with the office. I really had gotten used to working from home, working in my pajamas, just kind of getting up when I wanted and cataloging and, just having, my commute was from the bedroom to the living room. And it was nice and it was great. And I worked from home and I loved it. And even though the gallery, I saw customers really liked it and they felt more comfortable not being in our home. It was just, I think it just took a long time for me to get used to it. But all of a sudden, after about 2 years into our first 3-year lease, I was like, oh my God, this is better. Why didn't I think about this? Why was I like, oh, the gallery, this is the thing, and it's better now. So it took me a while to get used to it, but it really has helped. I mean, we're not a storefront. We're not down, on the street level.
Right.
So people can't really stumble in, but they find us on Google at times, and if they're looking for a specific title or author, they can find us. People do. Maybe we get maybe 4 or 5 people who kind of wander in, looking on their phones per month, and that's fine. And just in general, for the customers that we do have, it's strengthened our connection with them because they love coming to the shop. They love having a place that's not our home.
It's theirs too.
Yes, it is theirs too. Yeah,
so it's a place for you to both be together, or all of you to be together and discover together. So I feel like it can create a different relationship to the material and a dialogue.
Yeah.
Do you use the space for things that aren't just meeting customers? Do you have events? Do you have author signings or parties?
I've always wanted to do author signings. It's kind of small. It's a small space. New York is expensive, but I think initially when we first opened it, we did a couple parties. Like, we're in New York. The New York Book Fair is, a really great fair to do. It's super fun. And, we would have some like gallery openings, people come down, and basically it's just booksellers drinking whiskey. But, but that's super fun, and, we've been doing that for a little while. We haven't like super played up the whole event space because it's just kind of small, but I mean, it's something that we're always open to. We do like little Halloween parties and little get-togethers with customers. We had a really wonderful person, Julie Carlson, who was working with us for 4 years, and when she left our company, we had a little going-away party for her. A lot of customers came. So anyway, so we do little things like that, and you're right, it feels like a family. It feels like a home.
Yeah, and then you guys have a hang space.
Exactly. It's nice. Yes.
Well, you are definitely an amazing example of setting your mind to something wonderful that's in your heart and doing it big. If you can make it there in New York, you can make it anywhere.
That is true.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy Boston Fair, another great fair to talk to us today. Thank you for telling your story. It's valuable, and so are you.
Oh, it was wonderful. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you, Sunday.
Thank you.